Whoa! It's everybody's favorite time. It's more bad news for Bud Light. Hey, if you enjoy my coverage, I do about 5 videos a day. They're not all on Bud Light. So I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button down below and also subscribe. It's about the only way you'll find my videos these days. Now, some devastating new news from Bud Light. Now, we knew that we suspected that this would be coming, that, the continued sales loss. In the fall, they end up reorganizing all of the shelves in major retailers because they want to have more of the products that sell and less of the ones that don't sell. That's just the way it goes. You want to be able to have more shelf space. It also increases. It's like this. It's like a snowball effect. If you have more of shelf space, you're more likely to get bought. And if your sales are up, you get more shelf space. Essentially, so losing it directly correlates to an increase or a decrease in sales in almost every possible scenario. And this is very, very bad news for them. By the way, if you watch my show, you know how I feel about the state of things, our government, the financial system. It's no secret that I'm a believer in diversifying your money with precious metals like gold and silver. But when it comes to buying these type of things, you need the right company to do so. That's why I've partnered with the top-rated precious metals company out there, Goldco, because reputation matters. Goldco has helped people like you and me place over $1 billion in orders for gold and silver. For those retirement accounts, for those with retirement accounts too, they're offering the quartering supporters up to $10,000 in free silver when opening a qualified IRA account. And qualified callers this week could receive a free Ronald Reagan silver coin. This is your opportunity to protect yourself from our out-of-control, corrupt government. Visit quarteringgold.com, fill out the form, talk to somebody, protect your finances long-term. With, look at the price of gas, inflation, what you get in groceries nowadays. Quarteringgold.com, talk to somebody today. Bud Light set to lose shelf space at major retailers, intensifying boycott woes. A boycott against Bud Light has hammered the retailer, dethroning the brand as the nation's top beer seller. Now, we do know that Modelo was probably set to overtake them in some time, but it accelerated it about 8 months or something like that, dethroning the brand as the nation's most popular beer and demonstrating the longevity of an anti-trans consumer movement that erupted in April. Look, it's not anti-trans, it's I don't want you to push this politics in my face. I just want to consume my beer and get away from things. That's why people drink beer for the most part. Even more now, a reset of the shelf space takes hold every fall at major retailers that could solidify the sales decline and make it much more difficult for Bud Light to return to its performance before the boycott, according to ABC News interviews with a former Anheuser-Busch executive, a local Bud Light wholesaler, and a beer industry analyst. Bud Light is set to lose refrigerator space at a vast network of stores belonging to key beer sellers like Walmart and 7-Eleven, since the retailers typically reappropriate shelf space based on recent sales performance, taking space away from struggling brands and giving it to hot-selling ones, the industry source told ABC News. During a busy shopping period on a Friday or Saturday night, if you don't have enough beer available cold on the shelf, consumers pick something else. Former Anheuser-Busch InBev executive Anson Friedrichs told ABC News, calling shelf space the single largest determinant of sales in a store. There will be a dramatic shift, he added. Sales of Bud Lights have recorded declines for 5 consecutive months after a product endorsement from, of course, brand destroyer Dylan. The boycott gained momentum. Meanwhile, after the initial response from the company was perceived as conciliatory to conservatives by some LGBTQ advocates, prompting frustration on the left. Now, look, here's the thing. It's not a conservative thing. That's one of the biggest misconceptions about this boycott. It's not like a flat out conservative versus liberal thing. It's like people are in general tired of everything being so heavily politicized and having politics and everything. And then, well, people on the left will say, well, being trans isn't political. Okay, sure. But running a commercial and expecting people to buy your product because a trans person endorsed it is. Yelling at people for not buying it and calling them phobic is. Anheuser-Busch did not immediately respond to ABC News' request for comment, nor did Walmart or 7-Eleven. Over a 4-week period ending in early September, sales of Bud Light slid 27% compared to the same period last year. Meanwhile, sales of rival brands have surged. During the same 4-week period, Coors Light climbed 20% compared to a year ago, while sales of Yuengling's light lager jumped 80%. That's wild. 80%. The disparate performance of Bud Light and its competitors will be reflected in the display changes made by retailers, leaving Bud Light at a disadvantage as it tries to recover lost sales. There's been explosive growth on one side and sharp decline on the other, Williams said. This does have that ripple effect where Bud Light loses space on the shelf that could make it an even longer-term endeavor to claw back to where they were if they were ever able to do so in the first place. Typically, about 80% of beer sales take place at retailers or other locations where consumers take the product home, while 20% occur at bars and restaurants where customers drink the product on site. I'm actually surprised to hear that it's that big of a split. So 80% of all beer sales are people that take it home with them. In recent months, rival executives have trumpeted the potential benefits of shelf space changes at retailers. Constellation brand CEO Bill Newlands, whose company makes the newly top-selling Modelo brand, told investors on an earnings call in June that a change in retail's displays works to our advantage. Some of that is coming because of growth and velocities that you're seeing on our brands, Newland said, but also the decrease that you've seen from some of our competitors. Molson Coors, the makers of Coors Light, held an earnings calls last month, during which CEO Gavin Hattersley said the company had already heard from nearly 20 top retailers saying that the company's brands would receive additional shelf space as a part of the reset. So that's it. I mean, where do you think that shelf space is coming from? Where do you think that shelf space is coming from? It's not, they're not adding additional shelves. They're taking it away from Bud Light. Quote, we're working hard at making sure that the shelf resets reflect the current reality in the marketplace, which shows that there is a strong momentum behind all of our core brands. The impending loss of shelf space for Bud Light imperils roughly 500 independent wholesalers that sell and deliver the beer. Carlos Laboy, a beverage industry analyst at HSBC, told ABC News, noting that many of the distributors have already seen their revenue from Anheuser-Busch beverages this year decline by 30% or more. In turn, some wholesalers are cutting back their services and frequency of visits to retailers. Laboy said, further threatening sales performance. Expect more wholesaler cutbacks now. I mean, again, this is one of those things that kind of really stinks for wholesalers too, just because they have nothing to do with it. They made no decision to hire this individual. They have nothing to do with the brand's decisions to hire them. Yet they're the ones really that are suffering, not the CEO whose salary is in the millions of dollars per year. Not even other CFO, other C-level positions. I mean, the shareholders definitely, the stockholders are taking a bit of a bath, but it's not even as bad as you would expect. A general manager at Anheuser-Busch distributor in Wisconsin, who declined to share their name, told ABC News that the shelf resets at retailers could be an issue, but added they didn't expect a drastic change. The boycott has lasted longer than anybody thought, the general manager said. Every retailer has their own opinion for what the sales warrant on their shelves. Time will tell. To be sure, industry analysts said Bud Light sales could still recover to the levels to which they stood before the boycott, pointing to another shelf reset in the spring that offers Anheuser-Busch an opportunity to win back lost shelf space. Well, I highly doubt they're going to. It's not going to happen. You see all these articles, Bud Light will soon lose retail space amid boycotts. When you lose Walmart and 7-Eleven, which probably represents a pretty large portion of Bud Light sales, that's a big deal. Now that you're losing retail shelf space to Yuengling or Modelo, people are going to buy more of that and less of your stuff. And like I've said, with these type of products, once people move on, they move on. That's it. You see this? Bud Light sales are down 27% in September compared to last year. Meanwhile, Yuengling's up 80%. Walmart and 7-Eleven are planning to remove Bud Light from their shelves and make space for the beer that people actually buy. I mean, I'm not surprised by that. Not in the least. But it's not going to be good. It's definitely not going to be good for Bud Light, and it couldn't have happened to a better company, at least in my opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe down below. I do 4 to 5 videos a day, plus I live stream daily from 12 to 2 over on Rumble. I'd love to see you there too. We'll talk to you again real soon.